So, hello and welcome. Good evening, everyone who's joined us. I am Shivani Jatar from ArtsComeOnline. The ArtsComeOnline platform is designed to facilitate collaboration across diverse performing arts. For any collaboration, one of the most important aspects is healthy dialogue. And since its inception, ACO has brought forward different perspectives on dance, music, theatre, and other styles. Raha Conversations is one such effort to begin dialogue around dance and camera. This relationship, a new relationship that we are seeing these days, um, is something that we hope to speak about, gain more insights into through this series called Raha Conversations. We invite dancers, filmmakers, movement artists to share with us their journeys and their processes in the making of dance films. Today's conversation is going to last for about 40 minutes, after which we would like to hear from you. Any reflections, thoughts, questions, we will address them towards the end. And I now would like Sumedha to tell us a little bit more about Do It With Camera, and then we shall begin.
Thank you, Shivani, for such a wonderful introduction. I am Sumedha. I am a dance artist, educator, and exploring the new medium of dance and film as well. And Duet with Camera sort of began as a recent journey this year when the pandemic happened, as a part of an ongoing fellowship one-year project where I'm myself also exploring the idea of the dancing body and the camera, but also a part of it also is to create that safe space of discussing, sharing, listening across practitioners of people who are engaging with the medium of dance and camera. And Rahul sort of started with, again, meeting Shivani, whom I've never met before, ever. And this is where, during the pandemic, we meet online. And we start discussing about how do we sort of name this word as. So Raha becomes that as a path, as a, as a journey, as a road to reflections and insights, as Shivani was saying, and probably also the way forward, and acknowledging our vulnerabilities as well as using with the technology. And today, I'm super excited that we are here for this. We are in the third episode of Raah Conversations, and with none other than Aditi Di. Oh my God, I haven't done this before because Aditi Di, Aditi Mangaldas. She is a dancer, choreographer, trained in the Indian classical form of Kathak. And known for her experiments with this field of Kathak and the contemporary, creating a contemporary vocabulary in it. And I think without further ado, I think I would like to invite Shivani to take forward our first part of the conversation. And yeah.
Okay, so like Sumedha mentioned, Aditi Di has been experimenting not just with dance and camera, but within the sphere of dance, she has had a number of experiments throughout her career. Today, of course, we will be focusing on one of her most recent works, which is Amorphous, the Zero Movement. Um, Now, I'm just curious, after watching the film, how did you start working with this version of Amorphous? Because in that we've seen some visuals of a past performance that was done many years ago, and that you have taken a bit from it, taken a little bit of inspiration from it, used it, used music, and you've come up with a new variation, a new version, and a completely new way of entering that piece. So how did you start working on this version in the film format?
Hi, hello everybody. Wonderful to see you. And hi to everybody who may be watching. And thank you, Sumedha, and thank you, Shivani, for this wonderful opportunity. I would like to add that I'm a Kathak dancer and choreographer, but also the world's worst photographer. So to be here I'm really nervous, but we've had to reskill ourselves, reimagine our dance, and transform our way of sharing. Katha kahe so Kathak. I'm a communicator. I need to narrate my stories and communicate them. And if I can't in a live format, then I have to find means of how I will. So that's how this whole thing started. And the Oddbird Theatre commissioned a film, and they said, make whatever is that right now is consuming you. And we had just entered the lockdown, and time for me had become amorphous. So it was, the river had changed its course, not the way that humanity has known, but it was, is it flowing from the ocean to the source, from right to left, from top to bottom? It wasn't a kind of transformation of changing the course that we had been prepared for. Past, present, future had become a whole jumble of amorphous moments. And therefore was born Amorphous. Because this instant was informed by this sense of time having lost its linearity or its circularity or whatever I thought I knew time as. So I had choreographed a piece called Timeless, which is about 10 questions on time. And one of them was a solo, which is can you hold time past and time future in time present? Is that possible? And love makes that possible. Love is something that makes you live in the moment. Yet here, though time, past, present, um, future were in a tumultuous, anxious state. So though we were thinking about living, it had become about living in the now, it was very different from what the dance was about. Therefore, I decided to use some of those elements as residue in us, as body, mind, and heart memory in us, but then used my current reality for the transformation. Now, as I told you, I don't know how to film. I used to never work with the camera. And I had myself, and in this case, my daughter in law, who was with me. And we said, okay, let's go. And the feeling about in Amorphous, how did I try to bring about in the dance is that I danced completely first back to the camera as against the actual performance. I made it black and white. I used the white wall with a white costume. It's more amorphous. I used the body, the reflection, and the shadow. In the actual film, you see this happening very homogeneously, very, very with love. But here, it was used very dynamically. There were intense close-ups of wrinkles, of hands, of shadows, which somehow or upside down, when the face was upside down. I used the fan as time, which was churning time, and I used my body as if my heart was churning in two different speeds. So we put the camera. In fact, my daughter-in-law was lying on the floor, and I was on top of. It was quite. Then we used rectangles of the table, the room, the mirror, the edge against the circularity, because this work is very circular. Um, and at one point, the chaos of the room to the cleanliness of the room, because this is what was going through my reality. Um, I have to thank Yashas Chandra, who did the editing, because after many discussions, he had this, edited, and then we talked about it. So I think it was a combined collaborative effort to make. And I would just like to refer to only two instances that I had any reference to in terms of filming of dance, because as I told you, no, I cannot. I was the person who would not be using the camera, if I had to before this. One was when we worked on a film called Now Is, a dance performance called Now Is. And it was a simultaneous process of music, dance, and a painting that had been filmed by the filmmaker Vani Subramaniam. Painting was by a very renowned German artist, Sigvard Spotte. In fact, this is also a painting of his. And the way she filmed the painting was not reconstructing it. So she was not reconstructing or trying to get into the artist's mind of how he may have painted, but she filmed it as a viewer. How do you watch live dance in a way? Do you move out? Do you come close and watch just the eye or the footwork? Does your eye roam from left to right? Do you not watch it at all and you watch the space? Does the camera at times disappeared into one little color, you know? So that was in my mind. And the other thing is when I worked with the photographer Nirvair Singh during two of my productions, Interrupted and Echoes. And it was amazing because he was dancing with me. And it was a very, very different experience because the camera was not static, or it wasn't moving in a linear or a circular or a choreographed fashion. It was actually dancing with me. So there was a multiple choreography that was happening. Of course, that is Nirvair Singh, and here it was me and my daughter-in-law. But we tried to work with that, and well, there was amorphous.
So now that you've shared a little bit about what inspired you towards, the making, would you also like to share maybe some of the challenges that you have faced, if there were any challenges? And
Of course. Oh my God. Challenges are like, as I told you, uh, this is a medium that was completely new to me. And I am uh, pretty bad at it. So how is it, how does one reskill oneself with a technology and a thing that you don't really understand? One is the technique part. Of course, you learn a little bit about this is your reality, the four walls. Your this is what shadows are going to do, the light is going to do, this is the available light, the sunlight, the current tube light. These are the various. So it was in a way just observing what was around me. Uh, And it was, in a way, the concept was similar to how I approach a new work in my choreography. Uh, I sit quietly or I dance quietly and let the ideas brew. Or I sat outside in my tiny balcony. I was very lucky to see the ocean and just see the sunset. And just let what is available right now. And I said, oh my God, it's not just the four walls. There is a whole sky above me, which is available. There's all kinds of light, which I never noticed before. One didn't have the time to see the afternoon light, the night light, and what one could do with my little table lamp. So I think challenges are exciting. And one is technical. The main challenge was the anxiety. There was, that was part, and that is still part of our everyday existence currently. And I wanted that to be in the film. I like to dance with that anxiety, with that sense of not knowing. I mean, actually, in life, we never know anything, but we become so complacent, and the pandemic has brought that in sharp focus about. And I wanted that anxiety to inform my dance and the film that I was making.
In fact, actually, if I take over, Shivani, just to get into the next part of the conversation, I'm really amazed by these topics that are actually coming in, because you are also, as a dancer, using I mean, limitation as a possibility, and in a way, the camera is coming in the hands of the dancer, is coming in the purview of or direction of the dancer, which otherwise I think where duet with camera also sort of is looking at is that most of the times traditionally it's someone else who's looking at the dancing subject,
Mm.
which is very also passively looking at the dancer.
Mhm.
And I think I would, because we have a bias of us having have a training in Kathak, and probably from a historical point of view, it's always been seen in a, as you were also sharing in one of those media responses, it's been always been seen on a very archival full body documentation, and as a passive viewer, or as a documentary lens. But with this being, when you're sharing this, and when I also saw Amorphous and how it is sort of like the way you use the chakkar, like the same spinnings that we used to see from an audience might not feel the same way when you see it on the screen, but the techniques that you applied, and the aesthetic that you probably sort of got in yourself into, as you're saying, like how do you think that you on a screen space from the stage space, do you feel that one as a dancer, as creators, do we need to also think about now the viewer audience per se, where where we have to feel like what you talked about, anxiety? How does one make the sensation in the viewer alive? As a Kathak dancer also, I mean, I was just thinking about how are in different ways in which you're reimagining seeing Kathak, and redefining the way of looking at Kathak, which is always one, from an audience to a dancer on stage. That's all. But here, the mind is traveling when I'm looking at Amorphous in so many different ways. But I'm just wondering, how are you thinking about the meanings that are changing?
I think one thing I felt as soon as this happened is you cannot recreate what you get in a live performance on film. You can't. And Indian dance has this, the viewer and the viewed are on a simultaneous journey together. There is a syncretic relationship, which currently we don't have. I mean, that's the reality. I didn't want to try, at least I didn't want to try to recreate that, this syncretic relationship. But I wanted to try, in the few films that I did make on dance, try to give a different experience that you would not get if you were in a live performance. Um, so, as I said, in a live performance, your eyes and your heart and your mind roam. You have the freedom to roam in very different ways when you're seeing a live performance, and you go on these simultaneous journeys with the music, with the dance, with the visual, with audio. I thought what I had the possibility of, as you said, not frontal, but dance viewed from the top of my head, dance viewed from under me, dance viewed from so close, that that you can see a little, every little sweat that is coming over. Dance made frenetic by technology, dance made so slow that it feels unreal. These were possibilities which you don't have on stage. And I thought that if I could, with my editor, work towards a film that used these positives, not trying to recreate that simultaneity, but use these positives that technology and this little camera gave us. Changing the texture of the light, changing the color of the light, which to a way is possible in a live format, but would then give a sense of experiencing dance at a very different level. Now, I am a total amateur, uh, but I would like to ask you, Sumedha, because you are a dancer and have trained as somebody has spent time in dance filming, you know. So I saw both your films. How do you pronounce it? Sarab.
Yeah, Sarab.
Sarab, and Untitled. So the first question is from Sarab. Okay, I loved the opening, the camera angle, which is again, it's upside down. Maybe it's about, because you're talking about dreams, and and I felt the vulnerability from the right hand to the left hand, and the left hand clutching the fabric. The questions I had in my mind is that when you're making a dance film, and we all have to learn from this, because uh, what tells the story, right? Do you respond as a dancer, or do you respond as a filmmaker when you're working on this format? And the other is that, in my mind, because I come from a conventional way of looking at dance, um, what is the good balance in a dance film with respect to actual dance in the film and actual visuals that you use to enhance the narrative? Because in the film medium, you would have the possibility of using visuals which may not have the human body at all, which say the same story, which have the and so how do you, what are your two balances, and how do you respond as a dancer or a filmmaker?
Thank you, Dee, for this lovely question. And please, thank you a lot to see this film as well. This was like our first zero budget film without any like zero. Like it's a part of an assignment that we were auditing. I was
Oh,
even auditing, like not even graded for this whole thing, but it just came. I think that what you like what tells the story, to start with that question a little bit, is exactly as you shared, like the intention behind how one starts to, you know, approach the story itself, where when in amorphous, where you were seeing the time as, you know, amorphous, and how you can best translate and transform the idea of time. For me, it was actually that time Hediye was going through her father's death, and at that point I had no clue about death. I have not experienced death, but having a roommate, and you know, just to be able to understand, a witness, as a witness, but also as a, uh, first and foremost, understanding and listening to the person, about how is she going through, what are the feelings. And of course that is what led us to the thing, of course, when we are the idea of constant, you know, moving in and out, you know, of real space. And you know, there is this, when you're missing someone, your beloved, you go to a completely different feeling, and then again you come back, and it's a constant anxiety for sure. But um, I think that's the intention to
Oh.
find out, that was to, how do I show the flux, the essence? So the dancing here, more than the dancing, the essence of like the dance, like as as you had shared about in the chakkars, what is the circularity in that chakkar? You know, in the time. So I think the essence was also very similarly here as well, like finding that essence of this flux, and to respond. Yes, it was very difficult because um, we all were given like the cameras in our course. We just like given the cameras and the mobile camera and just move with it. I'm like, like what? Like, oh my God, like how does one do that? And even if I had a little experience of photography with that, but I mean, how do you move with it? And there's a music. And so these are some choreographic exercises that we had just to, you know, hold the camera. And as a dancer, when you move, and a filmmaker when you move, it's a completely different lens. That's what I think, it got me towards an intersection, negotiating space where, you know, you're also a dancer, but you're also a visual. I mean, you, dancers also think so much visually, but
Mhm.
finding that intersection in a way. So I think it is in a, because dance and film, body, time, space, they're all connected. You know, the dance is common. They are common, uh, and I think finding that balance, was, responding as a dancer, but also as a, like a dancing cinematographer in a way, as you talked about Nirvaya as well. So a lot of it came from just using the camera with me myself, sometimes attached to my body, sometimes just, you know, working and moving around with it, as making it more as a part of your, as an organ, you know, which is
Wow, that's so amazing because your second film, you actually see it, you see the result and you see the camera attached to your body, which was very interesting. So, yeah,
I hope I answered your
so
question.
a camera becomes an organ. Wow, that's amazing. Huh.
Was I able to answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually have a question for both of you. So, you know, I think Sumedha might have had a little more experience with it because she's just happened to start this before the rest of us, I guess. But you know, there is a certain difference maybe that comes in with the change in medium. And when I say difference, I mean like a difference in the body, maybe a difference in the dance. So I just want you both to maybe tell me about how and what this change was when the first time you used the medium. And did you notice a change? Was this change a welcome change? Um, did you resist it? Did your Kathak body or your dance body, which is used to a stage presentation or a stage performance, did it resist the medium? Was it, or did it make you uncomfortable at all? If you both, either of you would like to respond to that.
Uh, should,
Yeah,
Should I?
go ahead, please. Yeah.
I have always felt that I need to respond to the moment when I'm dancing. And that has been my truth. On stage, though my feet are firmly on the ground, at times I feel I'm diving deep into the ocean or taking flight. Now, flying off into space. I must confess that I have not been able to find that in the past 9 months, right? So I don't know a specific point, how, which film, what was my change in my dance, but I know that I'm not comfortable right now going live dancing what I danced 10 months ago. And I don't judge anybody who does it. This is my reality. And I may do it hopefully 10 months later, who knows? I don't know. Okay. But I do feel that dance is pouring out of every pore of my body. Um, I don't know whether it's nurturing another seed or not. I don't know that as yet. I do feel it's bursting from my body, but I can't hear the sound. And that is my reality. And the only thing I feel that I need to do is open the page every day in the morning and start and dance. Um, and maybe it will pour and flow away. Maybe it will nurture another tree. Who knows? Maybe I will suddenly hear the sound and feel it like and can go flying or diving again. But right now, I can't. And using that, I need to work on the films that I'm trying to make and communicate. I need that to be communicated um, in my interactions, whether they be verbal or on film or sharing or whatever. That vulnerability, I think, which is a very, very something very constant companion of mine right now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important to also share our vulnerabilities, be honest and open about it, because of course they make us grow, but they also inspire others, help others in their journeys. So thank you for that. So Medha, would you like to respond to that maybe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I can totally resonate with Aditi at this point, and um uh, yeah, just to respond to the question that you asked, it's just I think probably because it's different. It's different for sure. The feeling of engaging with a different medium, but also it's also about, I guess it's a process, I guess, in a way, because I feel that we are in that process of, we don't know where it's going to take us at this point, and being in the moment, as Aditi is also sharing, like, I think that's where um, it's hard, because you are constantly thinking about, oh, when I'm making this, how many likes will it get, how, what, where is it going to be projected. So we're thinking about the projection more than our real current time, and um, which is interesting also, because you're constantly living in a future nostalgia.
That I love that word, future nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm going to note it down, Sumedha.
And what about the time when you actually first took it up?
Oh,
How was your
oh. It was,
response to that?
I think I was at that time, because I think it was also because there, I find myself talking to more disciplines beyond just the dance, and sometimes very weird disciplines also, like sculpture, which will
Right.
otherwise, like, why wouldn't we talk to them? And understanding, like, I think that's what is important to, like, aesthetically. And when I was introduced to film, I mean the camera, my I liked my, I mean, I used to photograph for sure before, but I was excited because I was blown away by the possibilities that it brought to dance, and the way we learn also dance. So even when I today, like, I'm excited when I share this as a, like, as a course to some students as well, at a university, who have not been trained in any form of dance or film, and how can this, they sort of, it sort of creates a thinking, I guess, because that's what I like about. And I was excited the first time, if you ask me, and it's been exciting. But I don't know, sometimes I'm very anxious because there's so many technologies coming in, virtual technology, augmented reality now, the dancing bit. uh, I don't know, I find myself a little lost after a point. uh, till when? And sometimes I feel it's good also, it's like a sustaining us as, like, young generation. I don't know whether you feel that way, but I feel mobile camera is also sustaining us, and for,
Yeah.
you know for a survival.
Young and old generation.
Yes, yes.
My mother who's 81 years old, and she has told me that you've gone away, but you make sure my internet works throughout. So, yes,
Internet. That's
this
true.
is the reality. I mean, technology has helped us to be in touch.
Absolutely.
And I think also my first reaction, I didn't think of making a dance film, but I remember the first day when we stopped Drishtikon and live, live interactions. I put a camera on the side and I said, I'm going sharing from my home to yours. And I made these little videos, especially a work that was not in my body. So I was not rehearsed. I was making mistakes. And I was experimenting the dance itself at that point because I just made it that morning or the day before. It hadn't sort of at all gone into the body at all. And that way it was amazing because I made about 6 to 8 of these, and also my dance company made, and we put them out without any frills or nothing, just from my home to yours. And we got responses from Peru and from middle of Spain, which was really in the midst of the pandemic at that point, that thank you, because I thought it was it was a healing touch for me to say, hey guys, doesn't matter what level of dance you're at, this is, we are all right now vulnerable. We are all at a place where we, in a way, constantly shouldn't know, don't know the future at all. We don't know the next moment. And that was informing what I was saying, and it was full of mistakes. And so I think that really helped heal me, and start us on, okay, let's take a deep breath, and then let's start accepting this reality, adapting to this reality, and then hopefully transforming.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great way. I mean, I think I like the fact that you said about, you could make mistakes, which is something, as dancers, we find it like, oh, mistakes is a thing in itself that we shouldn't. And I think that's a good, I think camera has created that space sometimes. And I find myself also responding to that, playing with it,
Absolutely. To
playing.
play, to be open, to have doubts. And, in fact, when the same thing I asked my dancers and musicians in Drishtikon to do, just put out something, send it to me, instant, made there and then, full of your, and I put it out from our home to yours. And somebody called me saying that, oh, so and so has made a mistake. And I responded to him by saying, I mean, technical mistake. I said, this is the time to make mistakes, to learn, to have doubts. It's not about making that particular technical mistakes. It's about having the courage to sit down, put on a camera, and play, and do whatever, or dance. And
Lovely.
don't judge us right now. It, judgments need to be suspended. Let it just touch your heart.
That is a really important learning, even when one wants to incorporate in their own practice. Sometimes we feel so much pressure when we are sharing things, especially online on social media. We feel so much pressure to be right, to be perfect, to be presentable, because anybody could take the this thing of judging you, maybe commenting something. uh, you know they may not have the intention to do it, but they do it, and it often harms your morale, because all of us are trying, and although the stage and performance, you see the finished product, you see the polished product, and the polished result of all those mistakes, all those rehearsals, all that riyas coming together. Um, yeah, I feel like we kind of get into that pressure, and yet at the same time, we now have a tool, a platform to share these very learnings, to share this process from our in our own words, in our own space. So yeah, I think social media and the online space has been both, has its own like pros and cons, that way.
I think that way I also wanted to ask both of you to sort of getting to the end of this conversation, and because I mean, how like there is so much information. It's more than a pandemic; it's an infodemic. I feel so much content, work, art. How do we I just wanted you both, if you can have a just share this as from a creator's perspective and also as a facilitator's perspective. Um, how do we engage with social media and the kind of work that we want to create? And what happens to us now? What remains of us when there is this filter, this um, the social media filter now, and where what how much like what kind of art now we create so that it is like it is that what like the touch that we need to have it with our viewers or audience. I mean I'm probably speaking from our um just as an anxious person. uh, but if you would like to share, Shivani and Aditi, if you would like to comment a little bit on that, and also sort of maybe end that discussion about the Raah forward, or uh, the future, or the ways in which you want to engage with it now. Do you see yourself using the camera more? Do you see yourself playing with it more? And yeah, just to be able to find that uh, end to this conversation, I guess.
I've chatted a lot. Maybe we should hear from Shivani.
So okay, with Arts Come Online, what I have tried to do in my own little way is find that new way of presenting performing arts. Um, because I mean, I think with a change in the medium, I believe there's a natural change in the way we do things, and what probably works for a live may not necessarily work for the camera, or for the digital space, and vice versa. So part of this journey with Arts Come Online is finding that. And like I mentioned, social media can sometimes be a little harsh on creators, who do open up to vulnerabilities and who do give you an insight into their processes. But it's also how we engage with it. At the end of the day, that is what we have to be mindful about. When someone is putting out their work, when someone is embarking on a project like Arts Come Online, if you don't like it, that's fine. Don't judge, or don't you know be the rude person who is constantly commenting or bringing down or pointing fingers. I don't think that's how we can move forward. And together, if we find that new way of presenting, of being online, and if we find that community online, if we feel that community coming together, if we build that on mutual respect, on keeping up a spirit of collaboration and encouragement, I think that would be something that I would like to be a part of in the future. Since you were asking me, like, what's the future like, I hope that that is the kind of future we are um, building. And I definitely would like to have Arts Come Online be one of the part, be a part of such a culture.
Thank you, Shivani. And Aditi, would you like to share from a
No,
also
I
from a
think as far as our social media interaction of mine and my dance company, um, it's for me, it's like having a conversation. Um, it's very, we put out clips from our old works, some tips which I felt while I was dancing, that some current situations of rehearsals or old rehearsals, or what tips in terms of the technicality of the dance, tips in terms of the concept or why we use the lights, or what was surging through my mind. So it's a conversation for me. I recognize the importance of the social media communication, because it has helped me keep in touch, and it has helped us all heal in some way, because we are in touch right now. We will reach out to people across the world who are all in a similar situation right now. So, for myself and my dance company, it's been about a conversation. Whether it's our old performances, our current performances, little bits of news, putting out about our new work, and stuff like that. Um, it has been our stage in a way, right? And though I do feel that, yes, don't judge, but critiquing is also very important, you know, a kind of critiquing of the work that is happening without judgment, but just at least for yourself. It's interesting to see where you could go wrong, how you have gone wrong, how you can improve. One is learning and improving daily. And as Sumedha, you said, it has given us time to play, to improvise, to be spontaneous, to take more chances. I mean, we should have done all this way before, but we got too stuck in what we thought we knew. Thank you.
So I think with that, we have also come to the end of our conversation today. And I'm so thankful for Aditi Di, for being here, for sharing, for being a part of the process of this as well, and for being extremely open, honest, and comfortable with her whatever she shared, her insights, her process, and the behind the scenes that we don't often get to see. Um, so Yes, with this, we come to the end. I would also like to thank all of you who are watching. Do join us for the other episodes. We will be posting the informations for that on the same page, Arts Come Online Community. And on Instagram, we have the Duet with Camera page and the Arts Come Online page. That's where you'll get the updates. So do join us again. And one last time, thank you very much.